It is the Sports Fix here on Flow FM. Great Flinders footy continued on across the weekend. A game at Minnipa that we'll talk about a little bit later on for our old Western Districts fans and listeners. But Chris Prime had the weekend off, sort of. He joins me on the line. G'day, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, Reeks.
That's good. The crop's in, is it?
It is in. We're just hoping a little bit of rain. It might just start to grow too.
Really? You want more rain? Didn't you guys get much of that deluge we copped early in the week?
No, we didn't get as much as some, but
okay.
We just want to bank it up. We'll just keep taking it.
Fair enough. Let's talk about the footy. We'll start at Lock, where they took on your neighbours there at Ungara, Air United, and, they gave them a fair old pumping, 21-18, 144 to the Saints, 2-1-13. It's a long season again for Air United. The long season just keep banking up for the Saints, really, don't they?
Look, they do, and the Lock boys had a bit to play for. Their club president, who sort of flies under the radar a bit, played his 350th senior game, Gundy Hetzel, and you try and get up for those milestone games, and the boys obviously did for him. So, once again, we keep saying Air United, like they're struggling. I've got numbers, but it's just the talent and finding that and bringing players in is just hard work. They keep battling away, and they will throughout the year, but it just makes it tough.
Well, it does. They were scoreless to half-time in this one. The game was over as a contest then, 11-8 to nothing. So the Lock boys did what they had to do to honour their man, their 350-game president. What a legend he's been. And anyone with that name, Hetzel, there at Lock is well regarded, but that man in particular has been a stalwart for their footy club for some time. But gee whiz, how's the rest of the club going at Air United in terms of numbers and whatnot? How they're putting junior teams on the park every week. Their B grade seems to have numbers. So whilst they mightn't be winning many games, they're at least successful in that area, I guess.
Their senior numbers, as I said, they're quite good. Their senior Colts is a very competitive side. Like they'll be in the top three. And they're under 12s, once again, are probably top two. So they're competitive at a young age, and it's the same struggle every club has is keeping young players around. Being a farmer, farms are getting bigger and requiring less manpower. So the whole district struggles through lack of numbers at times, and it's just finding that balance and how you can keep players in and finding the right balance of number of teams and to players.
I'll bring that up because sometimes we make the mistake of looking at a club's A-grade results and going, that club should fold or merge. They're just not competitive. But if you have a look, like we just said there's senior Colts and their junior Colts. I mean, top two, top three in there. They've obviously got good numbers. They're pumping the kids through. So, I mean, as a club, it's not all doom and gloom, but gee whiz, if you're involved in the A-grade setup at the moment, you're getting pumped by a Lock team that isn't going to win the premiership this year. Let's not make any bones about it. Lock are not in the top two or three best teams in the competition right now. It makes for a long year, doesn't it?
It does, and I guess I've been involved with clubs where they haven't had junior numbers, and the senior footy's been going well, and they've amalgamated it, and it's finding that balance. It's and the right thing. It's too hard a decision for a lot of clubs to make now because I'm not suggesting that United should amalgamate or fold or anything like that, because as an association we need them. We need to help them out. We need 6, 7. If we could have 8, we could have 8 competitive clubs. Because it once you lose one, you get down to 6, you get down to 5. It becomes hard, because those footballers, if a club disappears, those 40 footballers playing don't go and play somewhere else. Maybe 10 of them do, and some of the juniors do, and the rest are lost.
Yep.
And it is a really important part of your community. Like it is a meeting place. It's the whole thing. Like when you lose your footy club to a town, you lose a really big part of it.
Yep.
And for a lot of people, that's been their life for 30, 40, 50 years, like that footy club. So you really fight, and United do. Like they really fight and fight and fight to keep that club. And it's what every club needs to do, like, because it is such an important part of your community.
Yeah, spot on. So good luck to the Saints for the remainder of the season in all the grades, and hopefully their juniors can put a smile on a few seniors' faces out there. But let's move up to Kaku for a moment, where there's a club there that doesn't have any dramas about senior success. The Eagles, 18-9, 117, vanquished Cummins Kapini Cougars 7-5-47, who are just not the Cougars of last year, are they? I won't say they're damaged goods, but they really, for the list that they put out there, they should be better than they have been this year. They weren't within a bull's roar of the Eagles in this game.
No, they weren't. And there's been some underlying currents there right from the word go this year. And some of it's been player availability and everything else. But as we roll into the season, things haven't quite improved probably as they would want. It's you're coming up against a very good side in the Eagles, and if you're not 100% on board, they're going to show you up, and that's pretty much what happened.
Yep, they're a very, very good unit, the Eagles, as we know, and there's Cretnans galore kicking goals, and Bryce Breed is a star off of a flank just doing what he does, and Sean Maxfield loitering around the midfield. Talked enough about the Eagles to know how good a unit they are, but I'm just looking through the team list for Cougars, and I see no reason why this team shouldn't be top two. I just don't get it. Where they were last year, we know they were, unbackable premiership favourites around about this time last year. Yoey Wagner booted 3 for him over the weekend. Brody Falciani is a gun footballer and high in any best and fairest count. They've got Xavier Wagner playing alongside Johan this year. And they've got the Calderwood names there. Hazelgrove's in there. I mean, this is a pretty stacked lineup, at least on the surface of it, but they're just not producing on the field.
Well, we talked last year when they were flying and Yoey was kicking a heap of goals. It was about their midfield and their defence and their run from there. And I haven't had the luxury of seeing them this year. We don't play them for, I don't know if it's another 2 or 3 weeks. But like without that delivery, without that quick ball movement, it dries up in your forward line. So it just puts different pressures on. So when things are going well, it's generally your midfield that drives that. And I would say their midfield's probably down a bit, and that might be a few younger ones coming in, or a few guys just sort of learning their ropes and stuff like that. But for me, that's probably where their slight drop has come. I guess it's probably not a slight drop because they're probably sitting 5th or 6th at the moment, and with only 1 win. But the other clubs have improved. They've gone out and saying, well, we have to improve to keep up. And sometimes you think, well, actually we did pretty well last year, and we'll be around the mark, and all of a sudden you find yourself a little bit below where you think, and you have to work pretty hard to get back.
Well, let's talk about a team which I reckon is right in the frame. Elliston Districts, they took on Cummins Ramblers, and this was at Minnipa for the old Western Districts from Midwest days. Of course, the Elliston Districts are officially now a merger, I believe, between the Elliston Footy Club and Western Districts. They get to play a couple of games at the old Western Districts haunch through the year. Minnipa, and I believe they'll play one at Poochera as well later in the year, Primey?
Yes, correct. We get to go up to Poochera, or as I heard on the Adelaide News today, Poochera. My mum's got a Poochera. She's 90. She's allowed to have one of those. So that helps to say the toilet's not so far away from her butt. So, look, Adelaide people sometimes struggle with the pronunciation of our country towns, but Poochera tickled my fancy a little bit today.
This one being at Minnipa, easier for them to pronounce, but this game was over as a contest I won't say at 3/4 time. They were 5 goal down at that point. Cummins, sorry. So the Ramblers crew, so still in it, but look, the last quarter they just blew them off the park. 7 goals to 1 in the final term to run out big winners. 18-13, 121 to 8-6-54. Cody Rosalia booting another 7 goals. This young lad, I think, has got 26 goals in 6 games played for the season so far. So, he's on track for a 60, 70 goal season. And he's not your typical big, bustling key forward like yourself, Primey. This is a bloke that can play in the midfield for midfield minutes as well. So he is just killing the pig at the moment for Elliston Districts.
He is he's hard to match up on. He can mark well overhead. He's fast and he's smart. He can read where the ball's going and get there. So you need a quick, good mid-sized defender on him. And I think they got 3 in the top 4 of the goal kicking, which makes life pretty difficult for defences because you're not just covering one target. You sort of you're snapping your head around to see where the next lot's coming from. So he takes advantage of that because he seems to be able to pop up and just find space when you think, well, there is none. So he's travelling very well.
Well, the Ramblers crew, the Buildies have topped them up. Wes and Kingsley, the brothers, booting 4 goals between them, 2 goals each of their 8 for the day. But just too much being left to too few, I think it's fair to say, with Ramblers. The depth of Elliston Districts has probably done them in at the moment. I'm looking at the Elliston Districts list and I'm just trying to work out who their bottom 6 actually are, and that's normally a good sign.
It is, and I think we say other weeks, like when your top 6 in nearly every side can match the other top 6 of the other side. And it is those last 5 or 6 that go into the sides that make the massive difference. And Elliston Districts, their depth and their strength through that has been pretty outstanding this year. And with the Ramblers boys, a lot of it's a bit of youth, and Elliston Districts have got a fair bit of body size about them. Like there's some pretty solid boys running around out there, and I probably can bully's the wrong word, but get out there and just tap these guys out, these lighter frames out of the way. So and they'll be tough to beat throughout the year. I said after watching them against Tumby, well, Elliston Districts, they play that style of footy, and if they get 10 minutes, they can just cut you to threads, and that's what the good sides do.
They're the real deal, and I'll tell you what, we get the game we've been looking for this weekend. Let's have a look at it. Elliston Districts and the Eagles will play at the postage stamp Elliston Oval. That's going to bring more and more contests into the game. I can't wait to see the results of this game. This will be a beauty. I've got a feeling it's Elliston's time. I reckon they're going to beat them. And that Eagles side is stacked, chock-a-block, full of talent, class and experience, as we know. But there's something about this Elliston District side that I like. It might be the youthful exuberance around it with some older, wiser heads mixed in. But I just think it's their time.
I can't argue with you. I think these 2 teams met at the start of the year, and it was a pretty tight game that the Eagles came away with. Elliston Districts, I think, had 10 or 12 new faces in their A grade. So I think the way they've gelled, they'll be putting up a fairly good fight, and I actually think they'll go in as favourites at home.
They played earlier in the year at Elliston Oval again, and it was correct, Primey. The Eagles won that 12-8-80 to Elliston Districts 10-12-72, so they were right in the hunt there as they were just gelling together. So we get to see it again now in round 8. One of the idiosyncrasies of the draw, I guess, the fact that they've had to play back-to-back fixtures against each other on Elliston Oval. But I don't know that the postage stamp oval will worry the Eagles too much. I wouldn't suggest that Karku is a massive ground by any stretch, so that won't bother them too much. It's probably bigger than Elliston Oval, but regardless, I think it'll be a lot of in and under contests and whatnot. But in terms of who it favours if the ball does get out into wide open space, probably favours the Roosters or the Elliston Districts crew, right?
I would think so. And as far as the oval goes, I think every oval you play on's got a slightly different angle, and I haven't had the luxury of playing on Elliston Oval, but sitting up there last year, it just seems to not quite sit the way it should. It's a bit like another Roosters Oval in North Adelaide. So I think the home court, home ground advantage, yes. Look, I think the boys will get over the line up there, but the Eagles won't lay down easily.
No, they're not an easy kill. So should be a cracking game, that one. Let's have a look at other matches. So your Tumby boys will be back in action, but you're on the road heading to Cummins to take on Ramblers. This should be a very good game in all grades, but in particular the A grade. I don't know that there's much in it between you two teams.
Look, I don't, and both sides will be very keen for a win, like to try and cement or hold on to 4th spot. Like that 3rd and 4th spot's going to be pretty tight, I think, getting towards the end of the year. So a really important game for both sides, and there's never any love lost anyway, but I reckon she'll be a fairly hot and fierce battle.
Absolutely it will. And when you have a look at the ladder at the moment, Ramblers 5th on it, a game behind Tumby, who are 3rd on the ladder. You're exactly right. So with Lock having the bye, if Tumby win this, then all of a sudden they go 2 games clear of 4th and 5th. If they lose, then they're back in the ruck with Ramblers and Cummins Kapini Cougars and Lock. We'll get to their game in a minute, Cougars, but the last thing you want to do at this point in the season, when you're all heading towards the halfway mark, is be back in the ruck, right?
No, look, you don't. Like, if you can get yourself a couple of wins early, and make sure you can be clear with percentage in a game in 3rd or 4th. It just gives you a bit of luxury if something goes wrong later in the year. And this year's already thrown a few of those issues up, so no doubt it'll throw a few more at us throughout the year.
And the last match of the round to talk about, before we move to that, who's going to win that one, Primey? Because I
thought I dodged that one well.
Yeah, well, I probably should get a tip from you. You better put it down in writing, so to speak. But I imagine you're going to tip Tumby.
Oh, look, I'll tip Tumby. Josh Cave, if he pulls through fit, I think he will equal the games record at Tumby on Saturday. Currently held by the Tumby Bay coach in Craig Curtis. 289 A-grade games. So Josh will join Craig on that tally this Saturday.
Fantastic. Long, very, very good footballer, first of all, but a long-time servant of the Blues Tumby Bay Blues Footy Club. And I'm pretty sure he's going to hit 300, mate. He's not done yet.
Yeah, it'll be a tough gig. He'll keep battling on. He's probably fitter now than he was at 21. So, just keeps out and battles every week. So, good luck, Josh. And Tumby will win.
Yes. All right. Now, the next game, the last one of the round to talk about at Ungara, the Saints taking on Cummins Kapini Cougars. And Cougars, let's be honest, they need a soft kill. This is probably their chance to get one, but if I'm the Saints, I'm sniffing an opportunity here. Cougars are not setting the world on fire right now. They should just have too much top-end class for the Saints and should win and win well. But should is one thing. Actually doing it is another.
Correct. Look, you think that Cougars will have too much firepower, but strange things in footy have happened, and once again, they seem to happen week in, week out, right around the state. So it gives United a bit of a sniff. Like as you said, they're not travelling that well, Cougars, and if we bring our A game, let's see where it gets us. And that's the only thing you can keep doing. You keep going, well, let's get out there and if we play our best footy, let's see what happens. And like the scoreboard isn't always a gauge of how the game goes. You can be competitive without actually getting the score on the board because you're lacking a couple of key forwards, and it's just tough. And I know it's tough, but like United will keep battling at it. And yeah, if they bring their A game, they'll once again stay in the game for a quarter or half and see where it takes them.
Well, the finishing skills of Wagner should be enough just by itself. If they get their fair share of the pill, Cougars, which they will, the Saints will get their fair share of it as well. But you're exactly right. Two different setups at two different ends of the ground, isn't it? Who's going to kick the goals for the Saints and who's going to kick them for Cougars? Well, we know who's going to kick them for Cougars, but we've got no idea who's going to get them for the Saints. So you go with what you know, and Cougars should win that.
Yeah, look, I think they will, and might kickstart their season, but yeah, I'm hoping it's a competitive game.
All right. Anything else, mate, as we wrap it up?
No, look, that's pretty much it for me. Like, once again, like, it's good to get back into the footy, like, bit stop-start. We'll have this week, and then we're getting very close to Mortlock, and the Norwood Cup. So it's all about to happen big time.
It certainly is, mate. We'll talk about that next week. Look forward to it. Those mighty stinking Maroons will be out there running around again, I suppose. We better talk about them. Good on you, mate. We'll catch you then.
No worries. Thanks,